Hi, welcome. I just wanted to do a quick little video this week talking about what I've been reading lately. So this is everything I've read so far this year. And I will say that I'm cheating a little bit because the first couple of books I did read between Christmas and New Year's, so it was technically 2023, but I'm including them anyway. So let's start with the first one. I'll do these in chronological order. So the first book that I read was Lore Olympus by Rachel Smythe. So I had seen this in the bookstore a while ago, and it was one of those instances of judging a book by its cover. I just thought it looked really beautiful. I took a quick peek through, just flipped through the pages, and the art was really pretty. The colors were gorgeous. So I kind of wanted to read it just because of that. So I'd asked for it for Christmas, and my partner got it for me. And honestly, I read the entire volume in a day. And immediately after finishing reading it, I downloaded Webtoons and read the rest of the series because it is available for free to read online. And I was kind of too impatient to wait and go to the store and buy the rest of the volumes. So I ended up reading the remainder of the series over the next few days, and I would highly recommend. So if you haven't read it, you can probably figure out from the title that it's based on Greek myth. So the story focuses mainly on Hades and Persephone, and I'm not super familiar with Greek myth. I know kind of the broad strokes of it, and I'm not sure how accurate she stays to the original myth. This is more of a modern retelling, and I think she takes a lot of liberties, but the story's excellent. It does deal with some pretty heavy issues, mental health, sexual abuse, that kind of thing. So just keep that in mind if you do decide to read it. So once again, that's Lore Olympus by Rachel Smythe. Highly recommend. Really beautiful, great story. So next up is another graphic novel, and this one is called Ruined, and it's by Sarah Vaughn, Winifred, Searle, and Niki Smith. And this is one that I think came out just before Christmas. And honestly, I found it just because I was browsing the website of the publisher. This one is published by First Second, and honestly, I would read pretty much anything that they publish. I've read so many of their graphic novels, and they've all been excellent. So this story is set in the Regency period, and I think to a certain extent it is inspired by Bridgerton. So the story is about this woman who had an affair with a man that she had fallen in love with, and word kind of got out around town, so everybody knows that she is quote-unquote ruined. So nobody really wants to marry her, except her father does find someone and sets her up, and she marries this man, and he is basically marrying her for her dowry, and they're both very upfront about the situation. But throughout the course of their marriage, they become friends and eventually fall in love with each other, and it's very sweet, very cute. The art's fairly simplistic, but it's still beautiful, and the story was great. The story is more progressive than things would have actually been at the time, but again, I think that's that Bridgerton influence. So next up is Check and Mate by Hazelwood. As cheesy as her books are, I love all of them. This is her first YA novel. All of her previous ones have been adult romance. Well, she did do one that was more of a collection of short stories. So yeah, this is her first YA, so it's a little less spicy than the rest of her books. So I will say I will probably read everything that she writes. I actually went to the bookstore yesterday and I picked up her new book, Bride. So if I do another one of these book review videos, I'm sure I will include that one. So basically the story is about a young woman who enters the world of professional chess, and it's kind of reminiscent of The Queen's Gambit, but maybe a little less dramatic. So again, I would read pretty much anything that Hazelwood writes. Her stories are always entertaining. Next up is Iris Kelly Doesn't Date by Ashley Herring Blake. This is a queer romance. It's the third and final book in the Bright Falls series. And each of the books in this series follow one of a group of friends who live in the fictional small town of Bright Falls. So this book in particular obviously focuses on Iris Kelly, and the plot is basically your standard fake relationship kind of story. She doesn't date, again, obvious from the title, but she ends up in a fake relationship with this woman who has pretty severe anxiety. And I will say that as somebody who has an anxiety disorder myself, I do appreciate seeing characters struggling with the same issues that I do. So with it being romance, it's pretty predictable. It ends with a happily ever after. So I've read this whole series. I enjoyed it. The author maybe isn't the strongest writer, but the story was cute and I think it's still worth a read. And last on my list is Before the Coffee Gets Cold, and it's by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. This book has become really popular lately, but if you haven't heard of it, it is a series of short stories set in a cafe in Tokyo, and the defining feature of this cafe is that patrons are able to travel through time. So there's a whole series of rules that you have to follow to be able to travel through time, one of which obviously is that you have to return before your coffee gets cold. It's a really interesting plot device, and I think it allows for a lot of variety of storytelling. And this is actually the first book in a series of 4, I believe. I just finished reading this one this morning, and the copy that I have is an Indigo exclusive, and it comes with an additional brief story at the very end. And it seems to be kind of disconnected from the main story, though I have my suspicions about how it might fit in. I think I will continue with this series, just kind of see where it leads, but so far it's really enjoyable. So that's what I've read so far this year. My to-be-read list includes, as I mentioned, Bride by Hazelwood, so that'll probably be my next one. My partner also picked up The Magicians by Lev Grossman, which I've never read before. I never saw the series. I've heard it was really good, but all I really know is that it's more of an adult version of Harry Potter. So see how that goes. And then I also have a book called The Last Day by Andrew Hunter Murray, and I'm not too sure what his writing skills are like. I know him from the podcast No Such Thing as a Fish, which is a podcast about facts. So I'm not too sure how that one's gonna go, but we'll see. Have you read any of these books? What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you have any recommendations for me based on these books, please leave those in the comments down below as well. Just a little reminder to subscribe if you haven't done so already, and hit the like button. If you want to see more from me, there are a couple of other videos right here. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye.